Hey there, everyone. It's Mecha Draco coming to you with another episode of Observations of Society. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about Trumpcare. So, as many of you likely know, getting rid of Obamacare, or at least cleaning it up a little bit, is one of the things that's on the top of Trump's to do list. And of course, as always, in his rush to complete his promises, he starts making a bigger problem. Here in my household, my family talks about healthcare nonstop. They can't even begin to understand why anyone would go without it. And of course, with my current state of employment, they are understandable to worry about me. Some of the changes that Trump suggests could make me one of the individuals who suffers pretty heavily for it. I do understand where their concern comes from. When I was 16, I was diagnosed with leukemia. 4 years later, I was deemed in remission, but even now, over a decade later, I still suffer from the weakened immune system and bad knees from a few of the procedures we had to go through. This makes it hard for me to get a job, even harder to keep one, and even worse, almost impossible for me to get healthcare. However, with all that's being going around, I've not seen anyone talk about this whole Trumpcare thing all that much. Only my family's really been the one talking about it. So what I figured I'd do is take a look for myself. And lo and behold, here is what I was able to find. A site made explicitly for explaining what this whole Trumpcare thing is about. Alright. So now obviously I don't know how biased or inaccurate this site may be. This seems like it's information coming straight from the horse's mouth though. So can I really say it's wrong or misleading? No, unfortunately I can't. But that's why I make these videos, to give you my biased and honest opinion about the whole subject after making some simple observations. So moving into the site, for starters, it basically gives you some information and phone numbers and even some links you can go to for additional info. All good, I can't see anything wrong with that, so at least they're not trying to hide anything, and at least trying to actually be sure you know what's going on. So at least they give you that. It looks like we had an update here yesterday, so let's see what it has. Alright, so yesterday, alright, so essentially here the update on this one for yesterday is letting us know that the CBO predicts that in the year 2026, I guess, it estimates that under the current concepts of Trumpcare, over 24 million Americans will lose their health care. That seems like a pretty large number. However, when we start to read down a little bit further on this second paragraph, it says, as always, our focus is to provide you with the facts and as little commentary as possible. That said, we do feel that we should again disclose that we do not believe that the bill that has been put forth is actually meant to move forward in the first place. Instead, we feel that it is, just as President Trump hinted at, simply a starting point for negotiations. Okay, so from what that tells me, they don't even know what is going to be in this bill yet. At least for right now. It seems to me that it's just more propaganda that is trying to say Trump bad, we good, and not even give us the full truth of it all. However, this site is after all probably biased towards Trump, so they're trying to maybe even bring Trump up a little bit. I can't really obviously say for sure on that one. So they might not be giving us the full story. Regardless, let's just move on to the next paragraph. Why don't we believe this? Well, excluding the more extreme members of the Republican Party who view Medicaid as some kind of entitlement for individuals who are not deserving of health coverage, most Republicans and all Democrats believe that taking Medicaid away from tens of millions of Americans, especially in rural areas, could eventually end up pushing votes in the next midterm election to Democrats. Which all this basically says to me is that it's pretty understandable. I mean, that all seems reasonable to me. I mean, regardless of how this might affect Americans, how would this affect Trump's possibility for running next term? You know what I mean? At the very least, keeping the control of the White House to the Republicans, and I guess obviously, of course, the Congress and everything like that. Keeping all of that control with the Republicans. So they know getting rid of Medicaid and pushing all this kind of stuff back would be bad. They know Americans want health care, so getting rid of it would simply be foolish. Not to mention the very simple fact that it says here that what is being pushed forward isn't even what will likely be will likely be the finished product. Just the start of negotiations, and that's good to me anyways. We want and need to talk about this kind of thing so that everyone involved can benefit. Anyways, we're going to move down a little bit further here. Now, this next section here discusses inside baseball. I guess that's basically from what I read from the first paragraph here is understanding of the way of the inside of the industry works. So I guess in this particular situation, it would be the way the inside of the healthcare system works. It goes on to explain that most groups seem to understand that healthcare systems work extremely slowly, and that nothing is just put into place would likely even take effect for upwards of 18 months and possibly even longer. And it's trying to say basically that most of the people involved here with all this Trump stuff don't even understand that that's how this kind of stuff works. Now let's move down here to the fifth paragraph we've got here so I can read that to you. Any healthcare reform once passed will take a significant amount of time for health insurance industries to adapt to and then bring products to market, reflective of that legislation. That could mean that individuals who are losing coverage would be waiting for a very long time before they see plans offering the same approximate level of coverage and or any other beneficial aspects to come to market. Many major health insurance carriers have jumped out of the market because they were not making money from ACA. It will be some time before even those who want to get back into the market can do so. So, all that basically says to me is that the healthcare system is dramatically fucked up, to be honest with you, and just needs a huge rework. That's all that basically says to me. If it takes years for anything to take effect, then the system is not efficient enough to work in this day and age and should be gutted. It should be, don't get me wrong, I don't disagree with a lot of statements here that there needs to be something to replace it with, but it needs to be gutted. Then as we move on throughout the rest of this, we can see that it once again repeats what it said in the previous sections, that what's been put out so far is basically not going to be the finished product. And then it reads off some finer points of what the CBO has determined by its report, such as within the next decade, 24 million Americans will be uninsured under Trumpcare. By 2018, 14 million more Americans would be without insurance than would be uninsured if Obamacare remained in place. The CBO believes that it mostly due to the fact that the individual mandate is not part of the Trumpcare plan. And then it would move on to say Trumpcare would reduce the federal deficit by $337 billion over the next decade, which I can't really see as a bad thing. Most of the budgetary savings and most of the pool of the newly uninsured people would come from the Trumpcare proposal to roll back Medicaid expansions put in place by Obamacare. The CBO predicts that the tax credit method of public financial assistance under Trumpcare would be attractive to lower expenditures health people, and those people would enter the market and purchase insurance. Okay. Basically, from what I'm reading on this one, basically is to me, some of these things seem here aren't as what I would call bad, but obviously a lot of them don't seem good either. So this just kind of supports my thoughts from previously of gutting the whole system in the long run and reworking it from the ground up. Clearly, we have let this nightmare of procedures stack and stack and stack onto one another to the point of insanity, and we need to fix that. This site continues on down pretty much saying the same thing over and over again, pointing out the issues with the current state of the bill, pointing out a few of the things that they have seen about the bill, and that we're not going to see any more detail on this until a later date. So, which brings me to my conclusion in total of this whole thing. I could continue reading this site, but I get the feeling it's going to just keep telling me that the same thing and never really answer my real questions. What is Trumpcare going to actually do? Sure, we have an idea of what the current state of the bill, but what comes next? What's going to be changed? What's going to stay the same? How long is all this going to take to make happen? You know, questions that unfortunately, at least from this site, the least biased site I could find, can't answer. Healthcare is important. It always has been, especially here in America, because we have a messed up system for it. It's more important now than ever with the government getting more and more involved. It's only going to get worse, and I honestly just want this nightmare to end. I just want to be able to go to the hospital when I feel ill and not have to worry that I may have to sell my entire car just to pay off seeing the doctor. That's all I really got to say for now. So if you guys have anything else to add, please be sure to hit up the comments, talk about it on Minds, or even contact me directly. I certainly hope you guys enjoyed this video, and of course, as always guys, good luck out there, and don't forget to have fun.